Helpless, down nearly 6% over that period. This is in part about competition from what's called compounding pharmacies, outfits that normally prepare customized medicines for patients, but their role here is a little different. Marketplace's Nova Safo explains.
Compounding pharmacies are supposed to serve a limited purpose. One example is a patient who has to take a pill, says Mansour Amiji, pharmaceutical sciences professor at Northeastern University.
A compounding pharmacist can crush it, put it in a syrup, and now you have a product that is exactly the same product, but it's more tailored towards that individual. And it's done on a one-off basis.
There is another use of compounding. When the Federal Drug Administration declares a shortage of a certain drug, compounding pharmacies can start making it to fill the gap. That's what happened 3 years ago with GLP-1 inhibitors, which exploded in popularity, but manufacturers had trouble keeping up with demand.
The thing that has happened with GLP-1s is it's basically having a commercial manufacturing operation create these products.
Because of the sheer scale involved, a market Morgan Stanley predicts could reach $150 billion globally. Now the FDA says the shortages are over, but lots of patients are still getting essentially copied medications.
The cat is out of the bag.
That's Marta Voshinska, a senior fellow in economic studies at the Brookings Institution's Center on Health Policy.
And it's very difficult to put that back in, again, partly because of how the law is written and the fact that it does allow for compounding under certain circumstances.
Drug makers Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly have sued multiple times to stop this. Still, the compounders are out there. Analysts say the companies might have to lower prices to compete. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
Novo Nordisk stock is down 3.2% in Copenhagen right now, with the drug maker flagging continued competition and the possibility of layoffs at the company. S&P and NASDAQ futures are both up about 0.2%. McDonald's profits today beat expectations. Stock's up 4% pre-market. Disney stock is up slightly in pre-market trading after doing much better than expected last quarter. It's buying 10% of ESPN.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by the United States Postal Service, offering stamps for purchase at over 40,000 supermarkets and drugstores and at wholesale clubs, Costco, Walmart, Sam's Club, and BJ's.
August, the month that the bosses of Wall Street go out to the Hamptons for Chardonnay and views of the ocean horizon. August, when unpleasant news stories have often happened, leaving me, let's call it hypervigilant for the month. Here to set me straight, to calm me down, is Barry Ritholtz, Chairman and Chief Investment Officer at Ritholtz Wealth Management. Barry, thanks for entertaining my superstition here.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
A lot of people don't like August. You know, you think of October when some of the big stock market crashes happen, but we've had some bad stretches in August. I've been doing this long enough to remember them. The memory of Saddam Hussein invading Kuwait, the Russia economic crisis of 1998, sovereign debt could never go bust, surprise, the China market crisis 10 years ago. You get nervous in August in particular?
You know, I began my career on a trading desk, and I vividly recall the head trader in the dog days of summer. I was asking, gee, all these stocks seem to get pushed around so easily. And the answer was, rookies are manning the terminals. Look, the U.S. isn't Europe, but more and more people take a couple of weeks off in the summer. Thinly traded markets, not a whole lot of things going on. So whatever happens, it tends to get a little exaggerated. Let me remind listeners, the October crash that everybody is so afraid of, one was in 1987. That was 40 years ago. The other one was in 1929. That's almost a century ago. So my bet is on the other 98 August, September, Octobers, and not those two.
Challenge is market timing, knowing when to sell or when to buy. I mean, that generally doesn't work.
That's right. Even if I could tell you, hey, August, September, we're going to see a 20% drop in the markets, what do you do with that information? 23 and 24 were both significant double-digit gains, plus 25% in the S&P. This year we're up 8-9%. Are you really going to sell, incur either long-term capital gains at 23% or short-term at 30% to try and sidestep a 20% drop? And then you run into the problem of, when do I get back in? We're much better off just looking the other way and letting it ride over the long haul.
Barry Ritholtz, co-founder, chairman, and chief investment manager at Ritholtz Wealth Management. He's also author of How Not to Invest. Barry, thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
The numbers show it is not August or even crash-famous October I should especially worry about, but September, that is the weakest month for stocks, even though Hurricane Katrina in 2005, the eruption of Krakatoa in 1883, and the destruction of Pompeii, 79 AD, all August. Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.